Next Space Rebels is a game about building rockets. No wait, it's about being a YouTube star. Actually, I'm not really sure what this game is, and therein lies its greatest problem. Let's discuss this and more in today's review. Welcome back to Midlife Gamer, and today we are reviewing Next Space Rebels. It's just come out on Game Pass. It's been out for a little bit longer. You can get this as well across other platforms. Now, this is one of the more stranger games, I would say, that I've reviewed of late, and even now I can't quite tell if I like it or hate it. The premise is simple. You decide you want to be a YouTube famous influencer. I actually mean StarTube famous. That's what they call it in the game. And you go about doing so by building little rockets from your bedroom and launch them, and you film them and get more views and more love from your community. Now, as your channel grows, you get access to more items. You can buy bigger and better parts, and they can then open up more challenges as well for you to complete, such as launching a rocket to a higher altitude or performing multiple loops with a rocket. The ultimate goal here is to be top of the StarTube charts, and that's where the game really can be broken out into two parts. You see, the StarTube bit is incessantly long, boring, drawn out, and frankly guys, it's f***ing shit. Imagine sticking needles into your eyes. It's that type of painful. You get a StarTube interface, certainly close enough, I'm sure, for YouTube to expect some kind of takedown request at any point. And you can message people with these optional choices that are provided to you. Now, the videos you get to view along the way are hilariously poorly acted. They're kind of student-esque in style, and even now I can't tell if they were written and produced with satire in mind, or whether this was an actual genuine attempt at acting. The first major issue is that you have to read reams and reams and reams of text to get through what I guess they are calling the story, which again is written terribly, has no real bearing on the outcome either. I actually got to the point where I selected in the options menu the instant text option, just so that I could get through it as quickly as possible. And what I would then do is just select random responses to the people, so I'd end up getting their rewards. Even then though, I was still impatient, having to wait until conversations would find a resolution. And it's a real shame, guys, because this aspect kills the game. It absolutely stops it in its tracks. It doesn't really do anything well here. You can like and dislike a video, it doesn't matter. You can hit random conversation choices, it doesn't matter. You can ignore the story, and it doesn't matter. I get they needed a premise as to why you are building rockets for your YouTube stardom in the first place, but there is just no need for this. And to be honest with you all, I lost the will to live to keep playing this game because of it. I did as many hours as I could for this review, but I just couldn't stomach it any further, which is a major shame, because the second you get to the actual building part, there is a genuine game in here. Is it Kerbal Space Program detail? No, not quite, but it's still pretty good, and it does require a lot of thinking in how you go about and build your rockets. So you build them via a drawing board where you can select parts and position them where you think best, and as you progress you'll get, like I say, more parts, and you'll get used to different types of fuel tanks, and you have to connect them up, and ultimately you start building things that can actually go into space. What I absolutely love here is the presentation, because once you hit build, you are treated to a kind of a very clever but short and sweet video of your actual rocket being made. It's a fantastic piece of programming by Humble Games. It just adds some real immersion into you being this amateur rocket enthusiast. Then comes the glorious launch. It's done in such a unique and varied way. It's kind of filmed as if a home video camera from the 90s, complete with the realistic setting of someone's backyard or a park area. It looks realistic. It has plenty going for it, and once that launch begins, it just looks and feels genuine. And when my rocket inevitably crashes, you go back to the drawing board and make tweaks to your design, thinking about stabilization or aerodynamics. And so when you launch again and you meet your objective, that's when it hits you, and it hits you hard. Ah, shit, yes, I've got to upload it to that shitty StarTube channel, and I'm forced to go through those boring conversations that are absolutely pointless just to get to my next launch. And this is why I think it's such a shame, because in here, like I say, there is a genuine game. If they scrapped entirely this StarTube nonsense and focused entirely on the rocket building, this could have been a truly amazing game. In my head, I'm thinking of a car mechanic, PC simulator style workshop, which is where the creation bit could take place, and you go from there. Make the rocket part the crux of this game, not this nonsense StarTube part. To be clear, I'm not saying a game about being a famous online star is not good, but there's already games out there that do it better. And so what Humble Games have done is waste what I think are clearly talented skills in their development team and diverted them to a part of the game that is utterly pointless and has no reward in it whatsoever. Now, graphically, the game is decent. The effects are basic, such as when sparks fly or fuel is burning off. It's pretty standard stuff. It's not going to set your heart racing. However, the graphical style is what wins me over. The colour palette, when designing the rockets, feels like some teenager working through a problem, and the aforementioned video reels of the rocket launches feel fantastic. They look and feel like they've been planted within a Google map somewhere. It's done really, really well. Unfortunately, the story mode element has poor graphics, and whilst I appreciate there is only so much you can do with a basic interface, it just feels bare. I'd have loved to have seen some more items, perhaps even searchable tutorials on StarTube, anything just to make the online world just feel more alive. Now, the sound is piss poor, I'm afraid. Some annoying sound effects, and again the story mode is killing it with horrible little ding sounds on chat conversations and some terrible voice acting in the videos. I get they don't have a budget to pay for good actors, but then don't do it. That was a design decision they should have just avoided based on whatever funds they had, and just ignore it. However, the rocket sounds are pretty good, and as you progress up the development chain, they sound quite meaty, but honestly, nothing to shout home about overall, and potentially I think a lot more could have been done here. And so with that, I can't really recommend this because there is some seriously good parts in there, but they are short-lived and few and far between. Even after several hours of playing this, I just couldn't bring myself to finish it, and as for this StarTube nonsense, it just killed it off. And perhaps the worst part of all is that once I finished my play session, it just really made me want to play Space Kerbal Program. And that's a travesty for Humble Games, because it shows to me they were really onto something here. Thanks for listening, guys, and until next time, speak to you soon.